I was going back over my video list this morning, and I realized there are a couple of stories that got cut off. No big deal. I'm just going to tell them again. Actually, it gives me a perfect opportunity to run my mouth a little more because that's what I like to do. But these stories, I think, was important. If anybody saw it, it was the one about my father who would take us to the VFW and things like that on his visitation. I am going to start the story over. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to leave the original up on the list or not, but I am going to say it again just so you get the full story because the other one did cut off. My father left my mother when I was about 12 years old. Other stories about that. My father ran as fast and hard as he could. My mother chased as fast as hard as she could, trying to get him to take some responsibility. I mean, all of a sudden, being stuck with 3 kids and a guy just getting to walk off to go do whatever the hell he wants to do. Well, it happens to a lot of us, and it happened to my mom too, and she was bound and determined that he was going to do his part in visiting us, giving her breaks, you know, taking us off her hands to give her time to pull herself back together, and whatnot. But he fought it tooth and nail. The problem is he had 2 wives after my mom. The first wife that he left my mom for had 3 kids the same ages that me and my sister and brother were. And that woman, the first stepmom, was like, no, we are not having 6 kids up in this house. They are not coming here. Plus, my mom was driving my dad crazy. There was a lot of dramatics and drama going on. I think a lot of you can understand that. But the new lady, the stepmom, she wanted no part of it. And she's like, if the kids aren't here, then the mother won't be here and there won't be a problem. Or, take the kids like you're having a visitation. She'll drop them off. You take the kids, let her go on and do her own thing, have her weekend to herself talking about my mom. And then the kids, we'll figure out what to do with them. Well, what they did was dump us off on anybody who would freaking take us. My father, he did appliance work where he worked on air conditioners, washers, dryers, refrigeration, stuff like that. And he literally, because my stepmother did not want us at the house all day, say if it was summertime and if it was the weekend or whatnot, we weren't allowed at the house. If we were at the house probably 3 times, and we were left locked in the backyard or locked in the garage because we were not allowed to be in her precious, precious little space. And so many times my father would come to pick us up for visitation, and we would spend the whole day on service calls with him, sitting in his truck while he's running in and out to take care of whatever he needs to take care of. A few times people noticed, hey, you've got some kids with you, can we send them out a soda, which was awfully nice. But come the end of the night, he couldn't take us back home. He couldn't take us to our mom because she'd flip shit because, you know, it was her time. I get it. It was her time. And she wanted him to do his part, so I get it. But we weren't allowed to go back to his house, so he would just dump us with people. There was like this kid I went to school with apparently he knew the parents, and showed up one night and said, I just can't take them back to the house, will you take them? So we go into this oh my gosh, this garage that's been converted into a room. We sleep. I wake up the next morning and there's the kids that I go to school with and I'm getting on the school bus with, and it's one of the more popular kids at school. So when everybody sees him with me, it's a whole long day of mercilessly horrible teasing on both of our parts. They're teasing him, I'm his girlfriend and slept over, and they're teasing me that I don't have a home and nowhere to go. I mean, it was horrible. And then the VFW was my dad's best friend. I mean, everybody he knew was there. He loved the liquor. He loved the dancing. He loved, you know, just the camaraderie of it all. We weren't allowed to go because, of course, we're minors. I mean, I was 12, maybe 11, 12, which made my sister's brother 5, 6, something like that, 7 maybe. And so he'd get off work after having his long day of fixing this and fixing that, and he would go to the VFW for a drink. Well, there we would be. He would leave us sitting outside in his old El Camino pickup truck until 2 or 3 in the morning, until he was drunk enough or they shut the place down, or until he was forced to go home. And So we sat out in the VFW parking lot till 2 or 3 in the morning. Oh, so many times. It finally got to the point where the owners realized, or someone realized we were out there and would snuggle out a bag of chips or a Coke for us. He also took us to this woman's house one day that it was just this huge house. And all she had is like she had no furniture. I mean, I'm a kid, so I'm probably distorting it a little bit, but it didn't seem like there was any furniture. It was just this toy box in this one room that apparently used to belong to her kids, or maybe she babysat somebody else. I don't know, but she had a toy box, and that's like all she had. So we like stayed in this one room with this one box with 5 random toys, eating peanut butter sandwiches for 3 days, waiting for my dad to show up. Honest to God, the worst, the scariest time, my dad and my stepmom are having some kind of knockdown argument, and he's supposed to have us, and she's, you know, again, not wanting us, and he's again saying he can't take us home. So she's like, well, then I don't know what you're going to do. Well, he's mad, and he's dragging us around to, you know, the next service call. And it's at some house where the washing machines went out, and they're trying to have a barbecue. And they all get to him-hawing and talking, and Dad works on the washing machine. We kids are sitting in the pickup truck. It's like August. We're sweltering to death. The people notice it and say, well, why don't you let the kids come out and play? My dad was at least for the first little bit cool enough to let us sit on the porch, and then they brought us sodas and stuff like that. Well, you know what, my dad left and we didn't. He had gotten in there and worked out a deal and gave him a sob story about how he's got his kids and his ex-wife's unreasonable and his new wife's unreasonable and how he loves his kids and he just doesn't know how he's going to work this out. Bull fucking shit. If he loved his kids, he would have worked it out by standing up to his old lady and saying, these are my kids and I'm a package deal, but he didn't. But anyway, he worked the deal out with these people and he left. These were complete strangers. And I mean, they were fussing, they were fighting, they were drinking, the police came. It was horrible. But I don't know if somebody finally called my dad or what, but it was 2 days later and he showed up and we went home. I mean, it was just crazy. When you're supposed to have visitation, do visitation. I mean, I know a lot of you guys don't know what to do with a kid when you've got them. A kid will pretty much entertain themselves. I mean, if you take them to your home, open up your back door, let them run around the yard or whatever, they'll pretty much entertain themselves. But when you take them and start dumping them off at other places, and you're making the kid realize that they're the problem, that the mom don't want them, the dad don't want them, the step-parents don't want them, and you're dumping them off on all these random strangers, I gotta tell you, it really hurts your heart. It really does hurt, because it's like, where do I fit in? How come I'm making more family out of strangers than I am with my own? Anyway, just something I wanted to update, to put on the list because the story had cut off before. Oh, and hello, the whole reason I was updating it was to tell you about the woman with the fly swatter. We ended up at this woman's house who lived, I guess, in a travel trailer, not knocking it, but it was like 5 foot by 5 foot. And I guess she babysit kids because she had a few random things, and she was like 127, so they couldn't have been her kids, probably not even her grandkids. But my dad would take us and he would leave us over there, and all the woman ever ate was tuna. I just cannot stand tuna because we lived off tuna. He would take us to her house and leave us 3 and 4 and 5 days. Like if it was spring break and it was his turn, if it was a week in summer and it was his turn, we lived with this woman. Still don't even know the woman's name. I just knew that we were always afraid she was going to croak because she was so old. And she would get mad and she would pick up your foot, and you would have your shoes on, but she'd pick up your foot and she'd beat the snot out of the bottom of your foot with a fly swatter. Of course it didn't hurt, but you started acting like it did just so, you know, she'd stop and not croak out beating the snot out of you. Anyway, very strange, very crazy visitations with my father. Anyway, have a good day.